Here he fucking comes. Late as usual. As per usual.
Me?
Yeah.
I was changing it to my getup. My Gravedigger t-shirt, double XL for sure.
How are you styling that? Is that a sleep shirt? Or are you wearing that with overalls?
I really am offended at the accusation that this is merely a sleep shirt. No, this is an everyday, all-day wear. And I'm going to wear it to sleep, thanks for asking.
1, 2, 3, 4. These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that pops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners.
Yum, yum.
Oscar Wieners.
Welcome to Oscar Wieners.
Welcome.
The only show on the internet where Hollywood's biggest night has got a fat Irish ass.
My stars. What's gotten into you? Is
Gene
this just
Kelly has the fattest ass I've ever seen.
Are you shitting me right now? This is the episode we're gonna have. This is gonna be our fucking. Are we crossing the border from PG-13 to R this episode?
I'm going NC-17 this episode.
Oh god,
I'm skipping over R.
it's
The
a night
NPAA
session.
can suck it.
All right. I like this energy. Fuck. I'm gonna curse.
I'm croissant.
Oh, I was. Damn, you really kind of took my name. And I'm a wee petite croissant. How about that?
Beautiful. No, I'm Michael. He's Ander.
Hey.
And this is Oscar Wieners, which is a podcast in which every week we pick a Best Picture winner at random and try to figure out if it's Best Picture worthy. And this week we are talking about we've returned to the freakiest man in Hollywood, Vincent Minnelli.
Oh, he is a freaky man.
Yeah, the director of Gigi, which we talked about very early in this podcast.
Yeah, a lot of thematic overlap between the two.
There is, weirdly.
Yeah.
So we're talking about An American in Paris. Obviously directed by Minnelli. Music was done by George Gershwin.
Classic
and then
guy.
The lyrics were written by Ira Gershwin, which I think is George Gershwin's older brother, Ira.
Oh, that's a nice little working relationship. I like that. I like to see it.
And it stars Gene Kelly as he's a World War II veteran named Jerry Mulligan. And he's like an artist. He's living in Paris. He's got a friend who is a musician who lives like across the hall. What's his name?
Adam,
played by Oscar Levant. He lives across the hall. He's sort of been surviving on like a bunch of like music fellowships and whatever, and he's trying to write his like big fucking symphony or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And then they also have a friend, Hank Burrell.
I would say Henri.
Henri, yeah. He's what is he? He's also
a playwright.
Performer.
He's a performer, singer, actor, playwright. He's kind of a hybrid. Yeah. He was like a triple threat before. I don't know. Gambino was out there doing it. Before, who else is a triple threat? Before fucking, I don't know, help me out.
Cooper?
Yeah, I guess he's a triple threat. Bradley Cooper's a real life threat. Bradley Cooper is threatening. Bradley Cooper threatened me and my family.
Bradley Cooper, what I like about Bradley Cooper is he can direct Maestro and star in Maestro and also probably kick your ass.
That is true, yeah. That is a triple threat.
Yeah, so you got Jerry, Adam, and Henri, and I keep saying Henry. I'm sorry, I can't say Henri.
That's fine.
Henry is dating Lise Bouvier, played by Leslie Caron. They're like dating. He wants to propose to her. Jerry meets her one day and is like, I'm in love with this woman. They start sort of a clandestine romance. And it's a fucking love triangle kind of. And there's music and it's dancing and yeah.
That's basically the whole movie.
That is the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Also Jerry meets this like rich lady, Milo, played by Nina Foch, who she says she's just interested in like supporting him as an artist, but like obviously she also wants a romance, and it seems like she does this a lot where she gets in relationships with men and it doesn't last very long. What was your experience watching this movie? You've seen it before.
I've never seen it. And if you're a regular viewer of the show, you'll know that I'm not typically one for musicals. It's one of my faults. And many faults as a critic, that maybe being the most glaring one, is that like I don't really know how to judge these things. I'm just not generally a fan. It just seems a little bit surreal to me that people start singing and dancing out of nowhere, especially, and I think you'll agree with me in this instance especially, the songs don't tie directly to the plot. They kind of just are shoehorned in and don't move the story forward.
Interesting. What I really like about this movie and its incorporation of the musical numbers is like they feel the way musical numbers should feel, which is like emotions that are so heightened that they can't be contained by like regular experience, and people break out in song and dance. And like I think that this movie conveys that the best of like a lot of other musicals I've seen.
I think it had a lot more juice than Gigi did.
Yeah.
Gigi was
sucks
pretty
ass.
bottom of the barrel. Yeah. Sorry. There is the recurring theme of Lisa, who we mentioned previously, is a 19-year-old girl.
Not only that,
yeah,
but she reveals to Jerry eventually, like, he's like, why are you in love with Henry? And she's like, well, during the war, I was 14 and Henry protected me.
Yeah.
We kind of fell in love. And I'm like, why is Vincent Minnelli obsessed with fucking pedophilia?
Wouldn't it be sick if Henry was just like, yeah, I met this girl. She's great. We're in love. She's 87 years old. Wouldn't that be just awesome?
Or just like she's 25. Like,
I know. Like it could just be. I don't get it. I don't know why she has to be so young. It makes it rather problematic of a relationship between her and Henry and her and Jerry.
Leslie Caron, who plays Lisa,
yeah,
she was actually like 19, 20 when this movie was filmed. She's like playing the age that she is.
Okay.
And I think Gene Kelly's character is maybe supposed to be like late 20s, maybe.
In this movie?
Yeah. Maybe.
All right. He doesn't look it.
Well, yeah, because I looked up his age when this was filmed. He's like 38.
Okay, that tracks.
He looks like a man in his late 30s. I mean, he looks like he's in good shape, but he just looks like a
no,
man.
Yeah, we're not criticizing. He looks great. He's a handsome man. He's in great shape, whatever. But he looks 38, 40, you know?
Yeah. So that kind of rubs me the wrong way.
There's that. There's also the way in which he approaches Lisa initially at that restaurant, where he's just... The romances in this, I feel like, are really, really flat and bad. He approaches her. She has absolutely no interest. He cajoles his way into getting her phone number by like tricking her friends into saying what her number is. She was giving him a fake number. Remember that?
Yeah.
Her friends were like, no, you stupid idiot. Your number is 4582, not 4528. And she's like, oh, yeah, my mistake. And he's like, great, I will call you relentlessly until you go on a date with me. And I'll come to your place of work in case you were worried that I wouldn't.
we've talked about this kind of movie so many times at this point, but it's like, yeah, it's really one of those romances that's like he wears her down and she eventually relents.
Yep.
But it's just weird. It's weird.
I'm almost numb to it at this point because so many movies that we've seen have had that same trope. But even still, it just rubs me the wrong way. It's poor form.
Yeah.
And their romance, they have no chemistry, really. It's supposed to tie the whole movie together. Why, do you disagree? I feel like they don't have chemistry.
Here's the thing. I disagree morally with the way this romance starts. With the ages of them. Like, I think it's weird. But I do think they have some chemistry. Like, they laugh at each other, especially Lisa laughs at Jerry in a way that like feels like so genuine, and like I don't know, these performances, like I really like this movie. I think this movie's pretty great.
I like it as far as musicals go. There are some bangers in this one.
Yeah.
The one where he's with all the children, he's singing to the kids.
It's the best.
It's the best. It's really great. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't feel weird. We'll get to some reviews later. Some people have criticized that scene. I don't think it's weird. I think the kids just like him because he gives them candy and gum.
Yeah, he's like the American who lives on the block who's like kind of like silly, and they're like, oh, this guy's kind of fun.
Yeah, who lives in his sick ass apartment, by the way.
My first note was like, I love in a movie where like a character has like a Rube Goldberg set up to like their life, where it's like, oh, they got the thing making the coffee, and they got like Back to the Future does that in the opening too.
Yes.
Like has all this shit like happening that like to start the morning off. I just love that. He like has like a pulley system for his bed because his apartment's so small.
It's really cool. I love that part. Yeah, that's great. I love that intro too because it starts with a voiceover where he's like explaining his life in Paris.
We're gonna say the same thing, probably.
And all of a sudden, Adam comes in and does his voiceover and introduces himself.
Yeah, that is fun. You're like, wait, well, the first like 20 minutes of the movie, I'm like, who is the main character? Like, are I following all three of these people? But no, it's really it's Gene Kelly's movie and his romance with Lisa, and like kind of the love triangle, but that kind of doesn't really come into play until like maybe the last like half an hour. But yeah, like there's overlapping narration where you're like, what the fuck's going on? But I was gonna say Gene Kelly's narration starts the movie, and I thought it was so funny. He's like, it opens on, like real shots of Paris, and he's like, this is Paris, and I'm an American who lives here. And I'm like, that's the title of the movie.
I'm like, it's great.
It was just
fantastic.
Silly.
It's a great, you know what? It's a great way to just get you acclimated. It's like, hey, just in case you didn't read the title card or something. It is a very matter-of-fact film, I feel like. Everything is laid out everything is laid out very plainly in terms of the events that are happening.
Yeah.
Like nothing really felt challenging, or like none of my preconceived notions were challenged at all. Like this felt pretty boilerplate as far as plot goes. And then its point of separation is that Gene Kelly is an absolute whirlwind daredevil, like just a turbo tornado of a performer.
I think that's what it like. I think this is maybe like a 3-star movie in terms of like the content, but I think Gene Kelly brings it up a star because he's so good. He's so good at dancing. He's so good at like tap dancing. He's so good. Like he's just like such a fun. He just has like such good energy.
To see him perform is. Oh yeah, it's magnetic. It's incredible. He definitely is one of the most talented people I've seen on screen. Like instantly, like he shows that off.
Yeah.
I did find it pretty funny that he's struggling as a painter and an artist, and he's like, I wish my art could be commercially successful, but oh well, I guess. And then he just tap dances like a motherfucker. I wish I had a skill that could carry me through life.
It's one of those things, like musicals are funny because it's like the characters will just be like regular people, but they're really good at singing and dancing, and you're like, oh, that's not like part of the thing that you do. It's just like it's like a fantasy element almost.
But this is weirder because there are characters in the movie who perform for a living. Like Adam and Henry and even Lisa, they're also performers. Like they're in plays, and Adam writes music, and Henry directs plays and performs. And they never once thought like, hey, fucking Jerry's a great dancer, let's get him involved. They're just so like, Jerry's just a painter who lives upstairs.
That's so true. And it's funny too, because like actually a thing I love about a bunch of the dance the dance and like musical numbers in this movie is like when they're happening like right outside. Like I wrote down like people in Jerry's and Adam's neighborhood must like love them because these guys are always just like singing and dancing, and like during the musical numbers you just like see them. You see like just the people on the street stopping and watching them, and like they're all like smiling and clapping, and I'm like, I don't really see this in a musical where it's like the bystanders are aware that people are singing and dancing.
Minnelli does imbue Paris with a certain special sense of joy. That just radiates throughout the entire thing. Like, it feels really cool to be in Paris. Maybe more in this movie than any of the other Parisian set films that we've seen so far. The cafes are just like so vivid and inviting. The fucking bread rolls at the tables I was like, let me get some of that.
I even love the way the guy that like runs the cafe below their apartments, like the way he pours the coffee and the milk at the same time. I'm like, that shit looks good.
Pristine.
Yeah.
Like made me want to go to Paris for sure.
Yeah.
And I did like that aspect of it. I will say,
yes.
And again, let me reiterate, I'm not a musical guy.
Yeah.
I do think even good musicals, everyone still has at least one stinker. And I feel like you're going to disagree with me on this.
Okay.
The fountain, the 30-minute sequence at the end,
I am going to disagree with you on this.
So it's just way too long. It drags on. I'm like, this is still going? Holy shit.
Not
Nothing
minutes.
is related to the story.
It's like 17 minutes.
That's a really long time. And there's no lyrics or anything. Like nobody is like singing or explaining how they're feeling. I guess you don't explain how you feel, but it just felt like Gene Kelly being like, I'm just going to cram in a fucking 17-minute dance sequence. There's nothing you guys can do about this. This is my movie, basically. And they said,
I mean, because since Gene Kelly is the star and choreographer of this movie, it does feel like it's as much his movie as it is Vincent Minnelli's. Like
100%.
Because it's like he's designing all this shit. So like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. I'm not saying he didn't collaborate with Vincent Minnelli, but like, I don't know. I feel like it has to be Gene's idea to be like, what if the ending was like this really long fantasy sequence of just like an extended dance number, and it's like there's different like shifts and movements to it.
I do think Minnelli should have reined it in at some point. He should have tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey Gene, buddy, I love you. You got moves, you got chops, but let's rein it in a little bit.
Well, so just to set up the context for that, like, I mean, we've kind of gone over it. It's like, yeah, there's the romance between Lisey and Jerry, and then he finds out that Lisey is with Henry, and that Lisey and Henry are going to marry each other.
Because she's just like indebted to him for some reason.
Yeah.
She doesn't love him.
No, and she's like, I kind of owe him, so we're gonna get married.
I owe him a marriage.
Yeah. But she likes Jerry more. But she tells Jerry, and then she's like, I have to go. We're getting married like literally tomorrow or whatever. And he's like, okay. And then then begins the fantasy sequence of Jerry sort of just looking out over like the fucking Parisian cityscape. And he has this like very long fantasy sequence. And that's why I like it though, because it's motivated by like I actually feel the tragedy and also the romance in that sequence between him and Lisey, who again, it's like Lisey is like a fantasy construction that he's like having of her, where like they're dancing together and they're like, but I just think it's like, it actually I thought was like moving and also just like fun to watch. I maybe it's a little long, but I'm like, let him cook.
It's long, and I felt like it was a problem just because I was desperately worried that the actual romance was going to be left unresolved. I thought we were just going to get credits on his dance scene.
That's what I wanted, though. And then the movie, it comes back the last minute, and then she, like, for some reason, Henry drives Lisey back. I mean, I guess because, like, he knows that Lisey is in love with Jerry. He, like, overhears their last conversation. So I guess, like, he goes back with her.
Pretty clutch, by the way.
Yeah, and then he's like, and he doesn't even seem pissed. He's like, yeah, go be with him.
Yeah.
But I almost wanted it to end on, like, tragedy. Like, I wanted the ending that you ask for, which is like to add on kind of like a sad, like.
Well, hold on. I'm not a sad advocate. Don't like paint me in that corner. I don't want sad. I just want real.
Yeah.
And if that ends happy and it's satisfying, like I'm all for it. Like I love joy. I love being happy. I love when people get together and it's meant to be and it's beautiful and I love it.
Really.
But I don't like it when characters don't have chemistry and they just don't feel fully actualized or real, or they don't like go through any stages to get there or develop in any way. And I don't think they did any development in this. They're just kind of star-crossed lovers who just have to end up in the end. That's just how it felt.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess in my version, it would be like Lisa ends up with Henry, who like it's like a weird marriage where she feels like she owes him because like he saved her as like a child, and that would be weird too. I guess I don't want that. I would rather her be with Jerry.
As long as it just doesn't go curtains on fucking Gene Kelly holding a rose in his mouth like a dickhead. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
I don't know. If you're go watch the scene at home. Just watch that isolated scene and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite scene in this whole thing is a music number, and it's Adam's orchestral fantasy, where he's imagining this beautiful concerto that he's performing. He's playing piano furiously, and then it pans over to the conductor, and it's him too, and he's like playing all the parts. I thought that was so fun and smart, and the song was just like really, really good.
Yeah, that is really good.
I love when they're all three of them, the three men are in the cafe together, and Jerry has just told Adam that he's in love with Lisa, and then he knows that Lisa is Henry's girl, and he's like, oh shit, and then Henry sits down, and then he's the only one who knows. Just great acting, great writing.
It's like so exaggerated. He's like, and he's like, he keeps just like taking people's drinks and drinking them.
Yeah. I'll have another scotch, waiter.
Yeah, and he like fucking spills drinks on himself. It's so funny.
Classic.
Do you have anything else to say about this?
No, it was an enjoyable watch. I liked the songs better than some of the other entries we've seen and reviewed. I think it was worth the watch. Watch it. I mean, it's worth a watch if you're sitting at home wondering why the hell should I bother with this. Just for Gene Kelly, dude. He's a master. This is the first time I've ever seen him in a movie, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I saw him in was in Singing in the Rain, which you should watch.
I might actually watch that now because I mean that's like his legendary.
Yeah, I mean he also co-directed that movie. He didn't just like choreograph it and stuff.
Quad Threat.
Yeah. I mean that movie's amazing. That's like a masterpiece.
What do you think?
I guess I think I remember saying that my kind of last thought is like. This isn't the last musical we'll talk about, but like I think I said in the Gigi episode, if I'm remembering correctly, that like Gigi is a boring musical because there's like no movement or dancing in it. And
that is true.
I think this movie is so much better for it because it's like so much movement.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And feels way more exciting for that reason. Like again, you could just tell that Gene Kelly is like just like a fucking genius like when it comes to this shit, because like if he again he's like positioning these people. He's like, all right, you got to do this and you got to do this, and like it feels like so it's like perfectly constructed but also feels spontaneous, which is I think probably I can imagine very hard to like pull off.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just like it just rocks. I mean, and Gigi came out after this, which is crazy. Gigi came out in 58, and this was 51. So,
wow, Gigi felt so behind the times in retrospect. Like, if you asked me when Gigi came out, I would have said like 1901 or something.
It's true.
I mean, I guess they had color, but
yeah, this movie like feels like I can imagine the 51. It felt like very current, and Gigi feels like a fucking old fucking British cup of tea.
Yeah, just stale.
Yeah,
rancid.
stale.
It's been in Boston Harbor. this whole time for centuries.
Stale kettle cooked chips.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I think this movie is really good, and I think people should watch it.
All right. Godspeed.
Would you like to hear the other nominees in the year of 1953?
Who's coming to bat?
I think it's actually due. I think Trois is 3.
Okay. Your Trois is 3. You're not sure if it's... Hold on. You're not... I have to just get this across. You're not sure it's if due is 2, or you're not sure if the year this took place was 52?
Because
one implies you just made a simple mistake, and one is just you're a dumbass. Who doesn't know Try is tree?
Try is true for me.
Nice. Very good.
First up,
Who?
Obviously American in Paris wins fucking Best Picture because of course. And next up we have Decision Before Dawn.
Okay. What's the decision?
By Anatole Litvak.
All right.
World War II is entering its last phase. Germany is in ruins, but does not yield. The U.S. Army lacks crucial knowledge about the German units operating on the opposite side of the Rhine and decides to send 2 German prisoners to gather information. The scheme is risky. The Gestapo retains a terribly efficient network to identify and capture spies and deserters. Moreover, it is not clear that Tiger, who does not mind any dirty work as long as the price is right, and war-weary Happy, who might be easily betrayed by his feelings, are dependable agents. This is such a long synopsis. After Tiger, shut up for a second. After Tiger and another American agent are successfully infiltrated, Happy is parachuted into Bavaria. His duty? To find out the whereabouts of a powerful German armored unit moving toward the Western Front. Dude.
Tiger and Happy?
I think that movie sounds kind of cool.
I think it sounds like there was a lot of minutia involved.
There's a lot of business, but it sounds kind of cool.
All right. I mean, I like the idea of parachuting anywhere is always interesting.
Yeah.
So I'll give it that.
Right.
Okay.
Next up, a George Stevens picture. He's come up before. This is A Place in the Sun.
Ooh. Icarus style.
Which I always get confused with A Raisin in the Sun.
I don't know what A Place in the Sun is, but I am still going to say that it's weird that you get those confused. Well, I can't really argue because I've also gotten Goonies and Goodfellas confused on this show, so let me just call myself out.
Yeah, so A Place in the Sun is about a young social climber who wins the heart of a beautiful heiress, of course, but his former girlfriend's pregnancy stands in the way of his ambition.
Saucy. That's it.
Sounds pretty good, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like
stands in the way of his ambition, like... Okay.
I guess to, like, marry the heiress and, like, live a life of...
Can't a guy just marry an heiress?
Why do I always have to worry about my pregnant girlfriend? Why can't I just marry an heiress?
You're the next contestant on Marry an Heiress. Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
leave me alone with this pregnancy bullshit.
I think A Place in the Sun is basically a classic. I'll watch it one day, probably.
All right.
And next up we have Quo Vadis.
Ooh.
I don't know if I said that right.
Let's say
Quovadis.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Directed by Mervyn Leroy. After fierce Roman commander Marcus Vinicius, I think that's right, becomes infatuated with beautiful Christian hostage Lygia, he begins to question the tyrannical leadership of the despotic Emperor Nero. Don't you just hate when you fall in love with a Christian hostage? It's 2 hours and 51 minutes.
Oh, that's tough.
It's tough.
I gotta pass on that for length alone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
I still have to watch The Matrix.
And finally, a classic. I remember watching portions of it in, I think, high school when we read the play. It's A Streetcar Named Desire, directed by Elia Kazan, starring Marlon Brando as himbo abuser Stanley.
I forget. Wait. Stanley,
yeah. He's the one that says, is it Stanley? Or does he say Stella? Isn't his name Stanley?
I think his name is Stanley. I don't fully remember A Streetcar Named Desire.
I think Stanley is with Stella.
Yes.
And then Blanche, Stella's sister, comes to visit. And Stanley and Blanche have like a weird, tense relationship, I think. Again, I might be misremembering this. Maybe Stanley's just putting it on and Blanche isn't having it. But then I think Stanley assaults Blanche. And that's like the big kind of like horrific crux of that play, I think.
Spoilers.
Yeah, it's a fading Southern belle moves in with her sister in New Orleans, where her ferocious brother-in-law takes stabs at her sanity. Yeah, that's it too. He like kind of like he's like basically kind of, I don't know if he's gaslighting her, but he's like manipulating her and like he's just being the worst guy on the planet.
He's an unwoke little goblin man.
Yeah, and Marlon Brando being so hot in that movie has just confused.
Yeah.
Everybody for honestly generations at this point.
That's great. Without having seen it at all, that's great casting, because if you should really cast the devil as just a handsome ass man.
Yeah.
With good acting chops.
Yeah. 100% agree. Those are the nominees. Andrew, do you think that An American in Paris is Best Picture worthy?
I really think that people back in the 50s they probably watched this thing and had a blast. And I can't fault anybody for doing that. Give it the Oscar. You know what I'm saying? Why not?
There you go. I basically agree.
Yeah.
I think this is a fun-ass movie.
It is pretty fun. I think it lacks a lot in terms of certain storytelling elements, and there's not a lot of meat on these characters, but that Gene Kelly sure can dance. I'll tell you what.
100% agree.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
what now?
I don't know. Would you want to know the truth?
Yeah.
Because what you or I have to say, it doesn't really qualify as the truth. We're biased. This is our show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true.
We are just a self-fulfilling loop, a self-fulfilling prophecy, just like feedback, like you're just your mouth into my mouth, just regurgitating all this information until we are one of the same brain. And it's just disgusting and dystopian and despicable. So do you want to hear the goddamn truth?
Yeah, I guess.
I found some reviews on the internet.
Really?
From just some random fuckers out there. Yeah. Do you want to hear some of them? What people have to think about... Not Streetcar Named Desire, about An American in Paris.
Yeah.
Give me the name. Let's keep these people anonymous, these folks. But give me a name of somebody who's just a 5-star poet.
Lil Yachty.
Okay, good Paul. Didn't think you knew who that was, and I'm impressed. Lil Yachty says 2 stars. Gene Kelly nefarious, Oliver Levant hilarious, costume design multivarious, star sign Aquarius, storyline precarious. To say this is the best movie musical, you'd have to be non-gregarious.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I will say, thank you, Lil Yachty, for that. I will say, Gene Kelly's fits in this movie are so good.
Great fits, for sure. Yeah.
He has like the kind of like, I think they're brown loafers with like the kind of like roughly socks. And he's got like those like light slacks, like cuffed. And he's got like the kind of like tight crew neck over like the kind of turtleneck / collared polo underneath. It's just and he got that fucking stupid hat. He looks so good.
Yeah. He is really swerving looks in this film. Yeah. I will say.
He's got arms that could fucking end world wars.
He really does. And long sleeves throughout, which is impressive to boot.
Yeah.
He's got to be sweating.
Yeah.
He's probably sweating through a shirt a take, I have to imagine. Right?
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Give me the name of somebody who's just a sad sack. just sitting on the couch, having a bad time. Maybe it's raining. Maybe they just been let go from their occupation. They're just maybe having a bad day.
Little Dottie, who's my cousin out in Milwaukee. He sort of is a SoundCloud rapper.
Okay, is it spelled like Yachty?
No, it's Dotty.
Okay. Okay. Don't love that. Not totally marketable.
He's 13. He's
sorry.
a little shit. His music is offensive, disgraceful.
Why bring him up?
I want the internet to sort of come for his ass. I've had enough of Lil Dottie. Okay. Daniel Papelbaum is his name, actually.
Sorry.
That's his real name.
His real name is Daniel Papelbaum?
Yeah.
Where does he live?
Let's said
dox his ass. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
He lives on 42 Cross Country Way.
Okay, if you're listening to this, go get this kid. Little Dottie's off the deep end.
In Dilbert, Milwaukee.
He's out here reviewing 50s musicals, saying 2 stars. Love you, Gene Kelly, but this film is pretty ass. Parentheses, I've watched it countless times.
That's crazy.
That little addendum got him on the show, little Dottie.
Can you say you hate a movie when you watch it like a lot?
I really think you can.
Got it.
I think that makes you most qualified to say if a movie is bad. If you've seen it like 8 times, I mean, granted, there has to be something in that movie that latches on to you, that you're watching it so many times, but I feel like you can still dislike it. Last review. Sorry, you know what? I've been reading a lot of negative reviews, and that's going to continue. I'm sorry for the time being. But give me the name of somebody who's just watching silently from the windows, who could be anywhere, even in this very room.
It's gotta be Little Potty.
No way.
That's my 6-year-old cousin who won't take a shit on the toilet to save his life.
I'm not doxing your 6-year-old cousin on this show. Although
sucks.
6 is old to not be potty trained, I will say.
His name's Reggie Tinkleton. He's out in Calabasas, California.
Little Potty says 1.5 star. Gene Kelly plays a creep whose art is so mid I could cry. The dances weren't half bad, though. Thanks, Little Potty.
Those are the reviews. That's it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks for those. Next week...
Fuck it.
I think we should pull the trigger, honestly.
Okay.
We're talking 2022 Best Picture winner, Coda.
Ooh, okay. All right, let's get into it.
Have you seen Coda?
No, I've never seen it.
Yeah, I never saw it either. Kind of crazy that it won.
Well, it's become rather notorious.
Has it?
And I think it has. People I don't know if they dislike it, but they just really don't think it should have won Best Picture.
I don't know.
I'm ready for it to blow me away.
I'm ready for it to charm my pants off.
Yeah.
Because I think it will.
We'll see.
I don't remember what came out that year, but I guess we'll find out.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, until next time. Say you're in Paris.
Oh. Okay.
Say you've just had your heart broken by a seductress.
Oh.
You can't contain your grief, so you travel inward into your wildest fantasies.
Yes.
And you construct a 20 to 65 minute finale dance sequence.
Incredible.
Where you superimpose over your love who has gone away a delicious hot dog fresh out of the water.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling this. I'm sensing this. Yeah.
Freshly boiled.
Yeah.
I want you to grab her by the fountain, which is, of course, pouring mustard and ketchup out of its holes.
Oh.
Yeah, slather yourself in the ketchup and mustard. I want you to hold that doggy woman in your arms. And I want you to dip her like you would at during a dance.
Yeah.
You're doing it. And then just give her a little saucy kiss for old time's sake. Ew. Bad. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
See you next week. Yeah, thank you. See you next week, Wieners.
1, 2, 3, 4. These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that bops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners.
In the 3rd grade, there was a kid in my class. His name was AJ, and I think he was the one that would sit in the trash can.
What?
In high school, there was a kid. He would go by MJ. His name was Michael, and his middle name was John.
Did he sit in a trash can?
No.
Okay.
It was a whore.
And which is better?